जय राधा माधवा कुंजा बिहारी गोपी जाना वल्लभा गिरिवारधारी। जय राधा माधवा कुंजा बिहारी गोपी जना वल्लभा गिरिवारधारी। यशोदनंदना व्रजजनरंजना यमुना तीरावनाचारे। यशोदानंदना व्रजजनरंजना यमुना तीरावनाचारे।
यशोदानंदना व्रजजनरंजना यमुना तीरावनाचारे।
जय राधा माधवा कुंजा बिहारी गोपी जना वल्लभा गिरिवारधारी। जय राधा माधवा कुंजा बिहारी गोपी जना वल्लभा गिरिवारधारी। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। जय प्रभुपदा जय प्रभुपदा जय प्रभुपदा श्रीला प्रभुपदा। Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki, Shri Shri Vijay Gauranga Dal Nitai Bhagwan ki, Nitai Gaura Premanande, Samaveda Gaura Bhakta Vrinda ki. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Yep, look what happened.
Hare Krishna. Good morning, everyone. With all of your blessings and permission, I would like to read from Srila Prabhupada's diary and then from Srimad Bhagavatam. So, if I go wrong, please feel free to correct and interfere, and also please share your thoughts and comments on this, and definitely your realizations. So, I'm just like a student who is giving an exam here, and you are all like my teachers. So, if a student goes wrong, the teacher has duty to correct. So, we are reading this morning from a transcendental diary, and before that, I was about to ask who need a translation. So, you are translating, Mataji. Okay, Mataji, okay, thank you. So, we are reading from a transcendental diary, Travels with His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Shri Shri Vijay Gauranga Dwal Nitai Bhagavan ki. And this book was recorded from October 1976 to November 1976 by Hari Sauri Das. So Srila Prabhupada is in Shri Vrindavan Dham. And we read further. Dr. Knupper felt that nevertheless there are many sincere seekers. Prabhupada agreed. But even among the sincere, he said, very few actually understand clearly what is the meaning of God. He used a familiar example. Just like in America they say, we trust in God. But what is God? He doesn't know. So what is the meaning of this? I trust in God? ? It probably means many things. Dr. Knupper offered. So, Prabhupada continued to press his point. If I say, what do you mean by God? They cannot give any clear definition. And our Krishna consciousness movement is, here is God, take him. But they have no knowledge. They will say they are presenting some Hindu god, and then they do not accept him. So, Srila Prabhupada is in Vrindavan in a conversation with Dr. Knupper, and I think this is 1976 actually. So, at that time the ISKCON movement was very nicely established, and it was very famous worldwide. And many stalwart scholars were always looking forward to have a personal meeting with Srila Prabhupada. And Srila Prabhupada's idea was that he wanted majority of the disciples to preach to the high class society, because the philosophy behind this is what great men do, ordinary people follows. So like this, Prabhupada never hesitated to speak to any doctors or scientists or big reporters. So even at this point in 1976, yeah, we know that Srila Prabhupada departed right after that in few years, you know. So it is said, Prabhupada is saying that many people in the West are not able to accept the movement that we are presenting, thinking that it is coming from some Hinduism. So that is because before Srila Prabhupada also, there were many people who tried to preach the different philosophies from with the background of Hinduism, and yeah, they were like many of them, 99% went to the West to exploit people by or make a business of that. But no one like Srila Prabhupada, you know, who was selfless. So they had already a bad impression, first of all, and second is West was booming at that time, and East was not, definitely. So why should they bow down to something that's coming from East? That's also second. So like this, there were many reasons the Westerners had, and I think it's still prominent nowadays, and that is why it would be really beautiful if the devotees who are in the foreign body, if they preach or if they lead like Harinams or book distributions, you know, then people can relate to them very nicely. So, Prabhuji.
What do you mean by foreign body?
It means, Prabhuji, the devotees who are born in the West, so if they take the leading charge of, for example, I can say about Harinams, if they are in the front row, then the ordinary people, they would see that our people are leading, so definitely we won't be cheated. So
Thanks. Okay. That's nice. Thank you.
So that is why I always look forward that whenever I'm in Harinam, so if there are some senior devotees and who are trained properly, so I really beg them to go and lead in the front rows. So people, when they see them, you know, they get attracted and they really want to get to know the philosophy. So yeah, we can read further. What do you understand by that word God? Question mark. Dr. Knoiper asked thoughtfully. God means supreme controller. Prabhupada told him without hesitation. The master of the universe. Dr. Knoiper rejoined. That's it, Prabhupada confirmed. Dr. Knoiper was politely probing. Perhaps he perceived Srila Prabhupada's assured and direct presentation as a little dogmatic. Do you think that this concept is the special insight of the Vedic? He asked. But Srila Prabhupada responded so as to make it clear that there was no question of the view he was expounding being in any way narrow or doctrinal. No, you as a philosopher, you can understand that there is supreme controller. Can you deny it? Only with great difficulty, it seems to me. I think this line was said by Dr. Knoiper in response to Srila Prabhupada. Yes, Prabhupada nodded. You cannot deny, but they foolishly deny it. Therefore, they are rascals. So how can you convince the rascals the right way? If you give me a dozen dogs, can I convince him what is God? Hardly. Dr. Knoiper smiled. They have no capacity to understand. Prabhupada nodded again. But they have no capacity. He said, referring to modern civilization, we are creating dogs and hogs, so how they will understand God? Dr. Knoiper asked if Prabhupada felt that there will always be a few who understand, and Prabhupada affirmed, certainly, but if there is a class of men, ideal, who understands God, then people will follow. We require one moon, then the darkness will be dissipated. But if in the millions of stars, what is the use? So, Prabhupada is very clear. One moon dominates all the stars, all the unlimited stars. That's why Srila Prabhupada, as we discussed, he always focused on preaching to the big hot shots. So if they catch to the Krishna consciousness, the ordinary people follows them. Then he added with a smile, so as not to offend his scholarly guest. So they are creating millions of rascals, not one sane man. The modern civilization, the so-called philosophers, so-called scientists, don't mind, this is the fact. So Srila Prabhupada had a different way, unique way to communicate with different people. He was heavy, at the same time he was very compassionate. So one of the best quality of Srila Prabhupada was he knew how to adjust with different levels of people, so according to their level. We can see that when he's talking with scholars, so just that they should not fall down, they should not run away. Prabhupada was always lenient with them, very compassionate with them. He smiled, he offered them proper sweet words also, not just heavy instructions. It is the same way when Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu went to visit Sri Jagannath Puri Dham. So when Sarvabhaum Bhattacharya, he was very elderly in his age and elderly to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also, and also very respectable. So he was the, how we say, head pujari, we can say, of the king Pratap Rudra, his kingdom. So Sarvabhaum Bhattacharya, when he brought Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to his home from Jagannath Puri temple, when Mahaprabhu fell unconscious after seeing Jagannath deity, so Sarvabhaum Bhattacharya saw that he is a young sannyasi. I should take him to my home and take care of him. And then he brought Mahaprabhu to his home. And after he came to consciousness, so Sarvabhaum Bhattacharya offered that I would teach you Vedanta. And then they started having conversation for 7 days, yeah, Prabhuji? So for 7 days they were having this discussion, and Sarvabhaum Bhattacharya was presenting the philosophy with the focus on impersonalism. So he was using the Shastra to present impersonalism. And then Mahaprabhu, out of respect, and just because he wanted to make sure that Sarvabhaum Bhattacharya doesn't fall down, so he didn't say anything for the initial 7 days. And after that, when Sarvabhaum Bhattacharya inquired from Mahaprabhu that you are very quiet, you are not saying anything, do you even understand what I'm talking? And then Mahaprabhu started saying, and then he broke the philosophy of Sarvabhaum Bhattacharya and established personalism. And then Sarvabhaum Bhattacharya had he was like taken aback, and then he realized, so like that. He was given the darshan of Sadbhuj form of Lord Shri, so Sadbhuj avatar, where Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is displaying his combined form of Shri Ram, Krishna, and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Yeah. So it is said that the Sadbhuj form was shown to two people. One was Sarvabhaum Bhattacharya and one was King Pratap Rudra, because King Pratap Rudra had served Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's chief disciple. I had to correct that fact actually, but he served one of the chief disciple, and after being pleased with the service, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was really happy and he showed the Sadbhuj form. And King Pratap Rudra asked his painters that he should make a painting of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu based on the descriptions. He gave it to him. So that's why we have this beautiful painting of Sadbhuj form. So Prabhupada also, he was very careful when having discussions with all the scholars or all the people. He knew exactly what to speak where. And we can also see that he is being sweet with Dr. Knoiper. Prabhuji, any comments on this, please?
Well, I was just going to, people don't know what God is. I don't have any comment. It was really nice what you read, quite clear. I was thinking a little bit about this. Prabhupada says people don't know what God is. And I was thinking about how there's so many people who practice religious philosophy, or who proclaim to practice religious philosophy, but they don't act like they know who God is or what God is. I was just thinking about that. It's so true. I was just reflecting on it, that's all. I could just say that it's sort of like an open secret. An open secret is the kind of thing that everybody knows, but nobody can take advantage because they don't have realization. So, you can know theoretically that Krishna is God and his name is non-different form, and that we're not the body. You can have some theoretical knowledge, but if you aren't able to, you're not able to really apply it, because application, to apply it you have to have some prerequisite. There's a prerequisite. Not everybody who knows can take advantage of the information, therefore it's open.
Prerequisite, so.
Means something that's required before you can go to. Yeah, so like, yeah, so therefore you have to be sort of, you have to be privileged to be able to take advantage of it. You have to be, have a little bit of humility, at least a little bit. When I joined the monastery, I just end here and then let you continue. I remember thinking that they said, yeah, you can move in if you want. I moved in right away, and I didn't understand why not everybody was doing it. I thought, well, so let me make sure I understand. I mean, I can serve God, it's free, and all of my needs will be met. So I thought, why is not everybody doing this? So it's like an open secret. It's obvious, people know, but not everybody's able to take advantage or appreciate the value of it. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Prabhu. Anyone would like to share something on this? Prabhuji?
So what impressed me so much is like, even though this doctor comes to Prabhupada and talks to him, every time one person comes to talk to Prabhupada, Prabhupada always puts himself on the level of that person. So to speak on the same level, not to speak very high, then I can see the humbleness in Srila Prabhupada, I just finished reading the book Perfect Question, Perfect Answer, when he had this conversation with Bob Köln. And it impressed me so much that, even the patience in Srila Prabhupada, that he has the patience to explain everything just in a simple way, not in a high philosophical way, but in a way that everybody can understand.
Yes, Prabhuji. Thank you, Prabhu. Mataji, anyone would like to comment on this?
Well, I can add some few words that really it's always impressing that Srila Prabhupada, it's really some kind of mercy that he is pointing to the problems, because big shots, as you mentioned, big professors, but they don't really know the basis, and they are teaching, but it's a rascalness, and to show this, to advertise that you are wrong, this is also a form of mercy, because if he doesn't do this, nobody will know that they are wrong. I mean, all these professors, of course, not every person can accept this fact that they are wrong and they don't know who God is, but they are teaching about this. But this is so clear and obvious, and it was such a big contribution of Srila Prabhupada that he reveals that, come on, that leaders are wrong. It's a very difficult task, but he was fearless to express this.
Yeah.
Что у Шрила его состояние в том заключалось, что он указывал на то, что люди не мировые, то есть они такие большие профессоры, которые всего чему-то учат, но они сами не знают, чему они учат, потому что не знают, что это будет. Шрила милость об этом указывал.
Yeah. Mataji, please. Thank you, Mataji, for your comment. Please.
Шрила Прабхупада, он не про это хотел сказать, что отношения, что я слышала из лекций,
что говорят старшие преданные,
what I heard from the lecture and what I heard from the senior devotees,
и то, что читаешь в книгах Шрилы
and what I read in the books of Srila Prabhupada,
Кришна очень бережет свои отношения с преданными.
that Krishna is trying to save the relationship among devotees
Между даже непреданными, вообще со всеми отношениями в мире, потому что он так не может он сразу показать, вот так сразу показал, он потихонечку дает информацию
о себе.
Да, о себе.
That Krishna reveals information about himself quite slowly, and he's keeping some kind of different relationship among people around the world.
Если наше сердце готово принять Кришну, вспомнить его, он отвечает намного больше.
If our heart is ready to accept Krishna, then he reveals himself in certain way.
Это как мы что-то берем в руки, и мы не можем взять, это слишком тяжело.
And when we are taking something in our hands and it's very heavy and we cannot take it,
мы шаг, Господь нам 1000 шагов.
And we make one step and God makes 1000 steps.
1000 шагов. И на протяжении, да, вот там, около 10-15 лет я наблюдаю это, как Господь очень через людей дает о себе да, информацию о себе.
And I'm watching during 10 or 15 years how Krishna is coming closer to other people in different ways.
Мы просто забыли эти отношения.
Just to remind us about our relationships, but we just forgot about them, these relationships.
Да, это очень вдохновляет, когда наблюдаешь за этой такой божественной картиной.
And it's very inspiring when you see this kind of God's arrangement.
И стараешься не перегружать людей и преданных.
And you try not to force too much devotees.
Yes. Thank you, Mataji. Wonderful comment. Then we will read from Srimad Bhagavatam today. So, before that, we will seek the blessings of our acharyas. Please join everyone. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshulunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadanti Shwapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatham Sahagana Raghunatham Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadavaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakha Vitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschata Deshatarine Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
So we are reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 5th, Chapter 5th, Lord Rishabdev's teachings, and today we will be discussing the text 34th. So, we all must be knowing now who is Rishabdev and the history of Srila Rishabdev. Yeah. Would someone like to summarize in short how Rishabdev appeared on this planet? Moritz Prabhuji. Yeah. So King Naba and his wife, they didn't had any son, and they requested all the Brahmanas to make a yajna to please the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And when Lord appeared, so they all glorified Lord, and then Lord inquired, so what do you desire? And then they all said that King would like to have a son just like you. And then Lord appeared as Rishabdev, and then there is history. So how Rishabdev spent his life, and then he had sons. So, but before that he went to Gurukul to get the training, then he got married, then from his wife, and he got sons, and then he started teaching his sons. So that's why this chapter is called as Lord Rishabdev's teachings. In the preface of this chapter, you can find a small description that explains the background of this chapter actually. So how the movement came to this point when Rishabdev started teaching to all his children. And in the last shloka, so the last shloka was 33, I guess it was discussed on Friday if I'm not wrong, or Saturday, right? Yeah? Okay. So today we are discussing the text 34, but before that, I would just like to read the translation of text 33. When Lord Rishabdev saw that the general populace was very antagonistic to his execution of mystic yoga, he accepted the behavior of a python in order to counteract their opposition. Thus, he stayed in one place and lay down. While laying down, he ate and drank, and he passed stool and urine and rolled in it. Indeed, he smeared his whole body with his own stool and urine so that opposing elements might not come and disturb him. And then Srila Prabhupada explains in purport, so what was the reason why Rishabdev had to take this step? So Rishabdev is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and Lord is teaching us something here. So in the Sanskrit shloka, we can see that this is called Ajgara. Where is it? Ajgara Vritti. This act, what Rishabdev is displaying here, this is called Ajgara Vritti. And then Srila Prabhupada gave a class on this shloka in Vrindavan, and that was also in 1970s when the movement was very nicely established. So at that time he was talking to his many disciples who were like really senior, and he was very heavy because as Maharaj said that day that Rishabdev's teachings is for the sannyasis also, mainly, So Prabhupada gave a big class and very heavy class with very heavy points and explaining that what the Lord has displayed here was practiced by many devotees, and then he gives the names. So we will discuss that, but before that we would like to recite the shloka. Tasyaha yah purisha surabhi. Is that a different one? Yes. That's 34th, okay. Sorry. Okay, we can read translation for 33rd again. Because Lord Rishabdev remained in that condition, the public did not disturb him. But no bad aroma emanated from his stool and urine. Quite the contrary, his stool and urine were so aromatic that they filled 80 miles of the countryside with a pleasant fragrance. Text 34. Evam go mriga kaka charayaya Vrajam stishtan asina sayanaha Kakamriga gocharita pibati Khadatyav mehati sma Evam go mriga kaka charayaya Vrajam stisthan asina sayanaha Kakamriga gocharita pibati Khadatyav mehati sma Khadatyav mehati sma Evam go mriga kaka charyaya Vrajam stisthan asina sayana Kakamriga gocharita pibati Khadatyav mehati sma. Prabhuji. Evam go mriga kaka charyaya Vrajam stishtan asina sayanaha Kaka mriga gocharita pibati Khadatya avamehati sma Evam go mriga kaka charyaya Vrajam stishtan asina sayanaha Kakamriga gocharita pibati Khadati avamehati sma Evam go mriga kaka charyaya Vrajam stishtan asina shayanaha Kakamriga gocharita pibati Khadatya avamehati sma. Would you like to try, Prabhuji? Yeah? Yeah. Evam go mriga kaka charyaya Vrajam stishtan asina sayanaha Kaka mriga gocharita pibati Khadati avamehati sma. Mothers. Evam go mriga kaka charyaya Vrajam stisthan asina sayanaha Kaka mriga gocharita pibati Khadatya avamehati sma. Okay. Word to word translation is as follows. Evam, thus, go, of cows, mriga, deer, kaka, crows, charyaya, by the activities, vrajan, moving, tisthan, standing, asinaha, sitting, Shayanaha, lying down. Kaka Mriga Gocharita, behaving exactly like the crows, deer and cows.
The crows, deer, and cows.
Behaving exactly like the crows, deer and cows.
Crows, deer, and cows.
Pibati, drinks. Khadati, eats. Avamehati, passes urine. Sma, he did so. Shri Shri Vijay Gauranga Doyal Nitai Bhagavan ki. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki. Translation. In this way, Lord Rishabhdev followed the behavior of cows, deer and crows. Sometimes he moved or walked, and sometimes he sat down in one place. Sometimes he lay down, behaving exactly like cows, deer and crows. In that way, he ate, drank, passed stool and urine, and cheated the people in this way. Purport: being the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Rishabhdev possessed a transcendental spiritual body. Since the general public could not appreciate his behavior and mystic yoga practice, they began to disturb him. To cheat them, he behaved like crows, cows and deer. So initially we were discussing about the Ajgar Vritti. Like Rishabhdev started behaving just like a python, in order to counteract the opposition. So Prabhupada mentions that Prabhupada was talking to all his disciples in Vrindavan, and that was in 1976, is the same time when this discussion is going on in the Transcendental Diary. And Prabhupada said, so this is another process of Yoga Siddhi that's called Ajgar Vritti. Ajgar means python. So python lays down in one place, eats and passes urine, stool, everything. Ajgar Vritti. It lies down in one place, big python, sometimes covered by the earth, but still he gets his food. So when I was a small child, I used to watch Discovery Channel or National Geographic Channel, and then they used to show wildlife animals, and we see that python was like, so in order to catch the prey and to cheat the prey, that he's not present there, so he covers himself with the mud, and in this way the opponent doesn't feel the presence of the danger, and when the prey is there, python snaps and then catches the prey. So Krishna facilitated this facility for the python to get his food. Big animals enter into the home of python, and the python can eat even a full horse, what to speak of other animals. But still Krishna supplies him food. He has not got to go anywhere. So sometimes saintly people, they sit down in one place. If Krishna sends him food, he will eat, otherwise he will starve. And Prabhupada mentions then examples from our Acharya Sampradaya, who followed in the footsteps of Rishabhdev as Ajgar Vritti philosophy. And he says that in our Acharya Sampradaya, Madhavendra Puri, Bilva Mangal Thakur, they were doing that. In Vrindavan, Bilva Mangal Thakur, he was blind. He was sitting in one place, and Krishna used to come and supply him milk. So, of course, everyone must be knowing who is Srila Bilva Mangal Thakur. Is there anyone who doesn't know the pastime of Srila Bilva Mangal Thakur? Prabhuji. Okay. Well, we need to definitely know the pastime of Srila Bilva Mangal Thakur, because the books that he wrote, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu used to read those books, and it's wonderful how this pastime is happening, I mean, it will take a lot of time, and I don't want to give spoilers. I want to keep special for you. So maybe there are special dramas in YouTube that our ISKCON devotees has done on Srila Bilva Mangal Thakur. It's in English. It would be nice if you see those dramas, then you will be able to understand more nicely. Because in short, if I say, then the mood will be spoiled actually. Excuse me, please.
For how long did he live? Bhagavatam?
No idea, Prabhuji.
No?
No.
I thought he lived to be like very old, 400 years old or what? 400 years old? You don't remember?
Yeah, I don't know, Prabhuji, exactly how long he lived, but definitely that's true. When he came to Vrindavan, he was already very old. So yes, it's a must. So whenever you get the time, please read the pastime of Srila Bilva Mangal Thakur. Very special. Yeah, because we are running short of time. That's why we just discuss in short what Prabhupada is mentioning in today's shloka. Yeah, and then Prabhupada says that there is no anxiety for such a saintly people for the maintenance of the body because Krishna takes care. Yeah, there is no anxiety. Shastra therefore says that don't spoil your energy for the matter of maintenance of the body. That is already settled up. Eko yo bahunam vidadhati kaman. Yeah? That is the Vedic injunction. And Prabhupada quotes Katha Upanishad. He says, Nityo nityanam chetanas chetanam. Eko yo bahunam vidadhati kaman. Yeah? The Supreme Lord is Nitya. As we are Nitya. Nitya means, who knows the meaning of Nitya?
Unlimited?
Unlimited, yes.
Or eternal?
Eternal, right. Eternal, right. True. Prabhupada says that Nitya means there is no birth and death. And Prabhupada quotes the shloka from Bhagavad Gita 2.20. Who remembers?
Is this Right.
Right.
I don't know the whole one.
Yeah. Najayate mriyate va kadachan nayam bhutva bhavitavana bhuya ajo nitya shashvato ham purano na hanyate hanyamane sharire. So it's the same way. It's said that is our constitutional position. Yeah? What is the difference between the two nityas? And Prabhupada is explaining. So one is plural number and the other is singular number. The singular number Nitya or Krishna, he supplies food to everyone. Or whatever we require, that is already settled up. You see, these are direct instructions for the brahmacharis. They don't have to worry for their maintenance. Krishna takes care. Yeah? Prabhupada mentions here, it's already planned by Krishna. So Prabhupada is insisting that we should not waste our time and energy just for the matter of maintenance of the body. You know, we should maintain our body to practice Krishna consciousness. Actually, we should eat to live, but nowadays it's happening opposite. So we are living to eat. That's happening. You see, people go to gym so that they can lose weight, so that again they can eat more. Well, if people would be given a body which would never become fat, they would just keep on eating, you know. So, yeah. But the original ideal thing is we should eat to live. So like this, Prabhupada is discussing, yeah, that the human energy should be utilized only for that purpose, which was not fulfilled in other lives. Yeah. In the 84 lakh different species of life, we have been changing. Tata dehantaras praptir, like that, you know. According to guna and karma, we are changing our body in 84 lakh species and forms. Yesterday I was in park with Rishabh Prabhu and we were just discussing, you know, about 84 lakh species only. And there was one man who was playing with a ball with his dog. He was throwing the ball, the dog went, catch and came back. And we were just discussing that just look at that. Maybe we could, if we are not focused or if we are not careful, maybe we could be in this body in next life. We may we were definitely in one of the species in our previous life. There are 84 lakh species, and sometimes we were demigods, sometimes some animals, sometimes some worms in the stool. And so like this, we have been going around in 84 lakh species for eternity. Yeah, we take birth in a species, we get old, we get diseased, we die. And in between this, what is common for all the living entities? The problem by nature, problem by, yeah, right. And besides that, every living being has to undergo the problem by natures, the problem by other living entities, and the problem by one's own mind and body. Yeah, Janma, Mrityu, Jara, Vyadhi, Dukkha, Doshana, Darshanam, and Adi Daivik, Adi Bhautik, Adhyatmik. So we have been going through this since eternity. You see, 84 lakh species, there are 84 lakh species, and we have been in all these 84 lakh species based on our guna and karma. So the way we live our life decides our next body. Yeah. It is said, I just read one place, Prabhupada was mentioning that the devotees who are practicing Krishna consciousness, but if they break the 4 regulative principles, so as a part of the purificatory process, they get to take birth in Vrindavan Dham, home of Vrindavan, earthly Vrindavan, as animals. And like that, they get to associate with the holy people, saintly people in Vrindavan Dham. They get to stay in Dham, and then they purify their vritti, yeah, so their tendency to do sense gratification. And like this, then again, they get a chance to take birth in the human form in the Dham, like that. So one devotee friend of mine was asking me that I have been practicing Krishna consciousness since long time now, many years. Why so many problems still there in my life? Yeah, we all can have a small comment on that. So if someone is practicing Krishna consciousness even for 12 years, and if there is still some problems in his life, what could be the reason? Aparadhas. Okay, number 1, aparadhas. Prabhuji said.
And they're not applying the philosophy.
Right. So not properly following the philosophy, or no application of the philosophy in the life, in the practical life. Okay. And what else?
Reaction from the previous life.
Okay, reaction from the previous life. Right. And then I have a question on that. So of course, we'll come to that point, Prabhuji's point. But before that, to Mataji's point, isn't it like, Mataji, once we surrender to Krishna, then Krishna takes away all our karma?
Yeah, but maybe not everybody can surrender fully. So
True. Right. So because we don't surrender completely, and that's why there's still some karma left. Yeah. So there are these 3 angles, like Prabhuji said, aparadhas. Yeah. So we'll come to that point. When someone surrenders to Krishna, Krishna definitely takes charge of their karma. It's a no deal for Krishna. Krishna can burn like this. Yeah. But Krishna keeps a bit karma for their purification. So Krishna is training that person using those karmas, And the second problem is that although the karma is taken, the tendency to do that karma still remains. So that's also a big problem, you see. So we redevelop that karma again. Yeah. We again do aparadhas, like Prabhuji said, and it is said that the tendency to do Vaishnava aparadh, yeah, the seed of Vaishnava aparadh, lies in the tendency to do sense gratification. Yeah. Simple example, when Indra, he was enjoying along with all his associates, they were glorifying Indra, Apsaras were dancing, he was having all the good high quality intoxicants. Yeah. So like it's a swargli, it's a heavenly intoxication. It's not like so cheap like our earthly intoxication. So he was intoxicated actually, and his Gurudev, Brihaspati, arrived, Well, he was so intoxicated He had a look that his spiritual master arrived, but he ignored, you know. And Brihaspati, he got offended. He didn't say anything. He just left the place and left the movement on the supreme will to take care of the offenses of Indra. And in that way, Brihaspati hid himself for a long time. And Indra had no way to go. There was no direction and no counseling. So demons, they understood because Indra offended his Gurudev. So Gurudev is angry and he has left that place. And Indra don't have any more support. And they are weakened. And then demons attacked demigods. They took over Swargaloka, you know. So we see from this pastime that the seed of Vaishnava Aparad lies in the tendency to do sense gratification. Yeah. So like this, according to guna and karma, yeah. So we also see because of aparadha, because of the tendency to do sense gratification, we still keep on developing the karmas. And then Krishna has to interfere, you know, Krishna has to take severe steps. That's why we also see, even though practicing for a long time Krishna consciousness, if still the problem remains in our life, that could be only for two reasons. First is for our purification, and second is we are still breaking the rules and regulations. Yeah. So like this, Prabhupada is explaining further. It's a big lecture actually, and very heavy points, you know. Prabhupada is explaining how we have been revolving in this 84 lakh species from such a long time. Yeah. And we should use our human form to get out of this 84 lakh species, and not just to maintain. Yeah. So Gaur Gopal Prabhuji says, one should not just go through life, one should grow through life. Yeah. That's it. So we learned from Rishabdev this the Ajgara Vritti. Now this, if Srila Prabhupada would not explain it to us, we would never be able to understand the activities of Rishabdev. Yeah. So thanks to Srila Prabhupada that he gave his purports to us and his classes to us. It's very clear now. When I read the shloka, it was so difficult to understand. But with purports of Srila Prabhupada, it's very easy to understand that what the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he wants to teach. Now just imagine if we rephrase this shloka. Yeah. Just try to understand. If we rephrase this shloka, when Lord Rishabdev, who is non-different from the Supreme Personality of Godhead, yeah, he accepted the behavior of a python in order to counteract their opposition. Thus, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is so beautiful, who is topmost beautiful, he stayed in one place and lay down. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, he ate and drank, and the Supreme Personality of Godhead passed stool and urine and rolled in it. Now that would be very difficult to understand for anyone or for everyone. Yeah. Just imagine if a normal person from outside who has no backup knowledge, yeah, if he reads the sloka without the purpose of Srila Prabhupada, he would never be able to understand, and he would probably be bewildered and he can misunderstand, you know. But then with the Srila Prabhupada's purpose, we understand that what the Lord wants to teach, he wants to teach that we should not spend our time in just survival. In fact, we should make the best bargain of this human form of life. So that is what Srila Rishabdev, who is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is teaching us. Yeah. Thank you everyone for your time and patience. So I hope there are no questions. But if someone would like to comment, so they can quickly comment on this. Any comments, Mataji's, Prabhuji's?
One comment.
Mataji, please.
I think that it's difficult to understand these shlokas because we have, our material, the platform of our mind, because we can judge usually, the usual idea is that God must be like this and like that. And we have, the box of our understanding. But scriptures, they reveal that God is not in our box. Yes, he's much greater and he can do anything, and it doesn't make him dirty, or something. So these scriptures, they are so secret that of course they require not translating but commenting. So Srila Prabhupada mercifully gave us these different kind of explanations, and obviously that we have to push ourselves not to remain on this platform of understanding that God, He cannot do things like this. That He can do anything, and He still is God. He can do anything, and all what He what He can do is very useful in different points of view. So He can teach us like this, yes, and He can teach the different levels of people.
Thank you, Mataji. Prabhuji, any comments? Moritz Prabhu. Prabhuji, please.
You said that the propensity for aparad is rooted in sense gratification. Did you read that somewhere, or did you?
Well, I was hearing from my senior god brother, and he was explaining the pastime of Indra, another pastime. So where he gets a garland, I think from Durvasa Muni, and he gives this to his elephant Airavat. And elephants are just elephants; they're animals. They don't know what is Mahaprasad of the saintly person. Then that Airavat took the garland of the great Rishi, and he threw it away. Zup. So the great saintly person who gave the Mahaprasad to Indra, he got offended, and like that, and then the comment was made by my senior god brother in his lecture that the tendency, the seed of Vaishnava aparad lies in the tendency to do sense gratification. So it's interconnected to each other.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Moritz Prabhu, it's all clear? Any questions? Everything clear, Prabhuji? Yeah. Jai. Thank you, Prabhu, for your patience. Thank you for your time. Hare Krishna, Srila Prabhupada ki, Srimad Bhagavatam ki.